out and vote and make a difference.
You know, the world that we live in has changed drastically. Everybody has been practically forced to live their lives online. So there's never been a more important time to be comfortable with technology than now. Every morning on New Day, we'll give you the very latest on technology. We'll talk about the latest gadgets, hardware, apps, and software so that you stay up to date when it comes to tech. Watch New Day every weekday, 6 a.m. for news and more. Only here on CNN Philippines.
Every night, we take a hard look at the stories and provide you with multiple points of view from here and around the world. Now, we'll bring you more news you can use from the trading floor and the global markets, and bring you more news you can trust in business and finance. Buy, sell, hold on The Final Word, weekdays at 9 p.m. only on CNN Philippines.
We're back.
Hell yeah!
I take it very, very seriously.
This week on Hollywood Express. F9 is already a record breaker.
It's very humbling to watch them and be able to take advice from them.
A magical reunion is in the works.
President of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
I, Maria Leonor Geronimo, having been appointed to the position of chair.
The Burmans are almost here.
Good evening, I'm Pia Ontiveros. Welcome to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Tonight on the program, Bongbong Marcos hurdles yet another challenge to his presidential bid as the COMELEC Second Division junks a petition seeking to cancel his certificate of candidacy. But petitioners are not giving up just yet. No arrests made, but some unvaccinated people and drivers alike got warnings on day one of the no vaccination, no ride policy in Metro Manila. Going above and beyond, find out why these medical frontliners are making waves on social media. We begin with this. A division of the Commission on Elections junks another case blocking the presidential bid of former Senator Bongbong Marcos in the May 9 polls. Our Melissa Lopez breaks down the decision for us. Melissa, go ahead.
The Paul Body Second Division has dismissed a petition filed by a group of human rights defenders through their lawyer Theodore Te, which seeks to void the certificate of candidacy of presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos. In a 32-page decision handed down today, commissioners say the case, which was heard and filed in November and December last year, should have been outrightly dismissed instead.
Commissioners Socorro Inting, Antonio Co, and Ray Bulay say they agree that the 2 points raised by Te's group regarding Marcos's COC were important, but was wrong in claiming that the former senator lied in the document. Petitioners say Marcos's COC should be canceled because he wrongfully said that he has never been found guilty of a crime, which is a ground for perpetual ban from public office, meaning he can never hold any government position, and mistakenly claimed that he is eligible to vie for the presidency. This is based on Marcos found guilty of not filing his income tax returns from 1982 to 1985. However, the Second Division sides with Marcos's veteran lawyer Estelito Mendoza in nearly all his arguments. It says that the Court of Appeals did not impose that ban on government service for Marcos. The division also says that the non-filing of tax returns did not equate to moral turpitude or a crime against good morals, citing a Supreme Court decision involving his mother, former Congresswoman Imelda Marcos. The commissioners add, penalty cannot be imposed on Marcos since it only took effect in 1986, the year when Bongbong and his family were kicked out of Malacanang and fled to the United States. However, Commissioner Co said in his separate opinion that Marcos should still be held liable as the tax returns were based on Bongbong's income when he was Ilocos Norte governor. This is the second to be dismissed at the division level out of 7 cases against Marcos's candidacy.
Just means that one of the many challenges to his candidacy has been resolved. But there are other challenges still pending.
Te says they will appeal the decision with the 7-member COMELEC and bank. Marcos spokesman Vic Rodriguez says the COMELEC division upheld the law.
We thank the COMELEC Second Division for
Will not affect her presidential bid in any way.
Lagi naman namin sinasabi.
Ako, Pia, ayoko mag-comment dun sa disqualification case, but if you
yung laban ng aking kandidatura hindi naman nakadepende sa nakabase sa galaw ng ibang mga kandidato. Para tayo, whatever the decision will be, sige lang tayo.
In my interview with Robredo last week, she also refused to comment on the petitions against Marcos and said she'd rather slug it out with him this May.
Ako, Pia, ayoko mag-comment dun sa disqualification case, but if you were to ask me, mas gusto ko talunin natin siya sa eleksyon para matapos na ito.
Mas gusto niyong talunin siya sa eleksyon. Anong matapos na ito? Ano yung ito doon?
Yung narrative kasi, Pia, kung naalala mo, yung narrative, kung naalala mo, nung natalo ko siya sa eleksyon, dahil inuon niya yung social media, ang daming naniniwala na dinaya ko siya. Kahit ilang beses pa ako nanalo sa Supreme Court, ito yung narrative na pinupush niya. So kailangan talagang talunin siya sa susunod na eleksyon para once and for all, mahinto na yung ginagawa niya na pagpapapaniwala sa tao nung narrative na gusto niyang i-push.
Meanwhile, here's a look at what other aspirants are up to. Senator Manny Pacquiao, together with Senator Coco Pimentel, met with executives of Elon Musk's SpaceX. Pacquiao said they discussed the possible use of low-orbit satellites to provide cheap internet. He said they also raised the possibility of establishing a spaceship launch pad in the country, the use of Tesla batteries for the jeepney modernization program, and the construction of a subway system in Metro Manila. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno saying he's proposing the use of expressway toll booths for drive-through vaccinations. He adds he came up with the idea after seeing people from the provinces in his drive-through vaccination site at the Luneta. And the running mate of Vice President Leni Robredo, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, says he wants to provide health insurance to delivery riders. Pangilinan adds he is in constant talks with Robredo on how to push for PhilHealth, SSS, and Pag-ibig coverage for the sector. A church leader encourages voters to scrutinize aspirants and their platforms well, while the Christian Brotherhood calls on those who will run to be honest about their intentions. Stanley Gaheta has that story.
The president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines reminds voters to choose the country's next leaders wisely. During a forum of the group Brotherhood of Christian Businessmen and Professionals over the weekend, Bishop Pablo Virgilio David said it is important to review the profile of candidates, their real intentions and accomplishments as disinformation campaigns on social media proliferate. He has advised Filipinos to verify all information they receive.
It is our moral obligation to verify when accusations are made against people, the incongruence between thought, speech, and action. This is what often turns our word into a lie or a falsehood.
He also reminds voters that discerning people know what is right from wrong.
Hindi paninira ang pagsasabi ng totoo tungkol sa tunay na nangyaring pang-aabuso noong mga nakaraan. Ang tawag po dito ay pagtutuwid. Pagtutuwid ng kaalaman sa kasaysayan. Kailangan lumingon ng tama sa pinanggalingan.
The Brotherhood of Christian and Businessmen Professionals has launched the Be Honest campaign to guide voters in choosing the candidates to vote in the coming elections.
Tapat dapat. Be honest. That's our battle cry. Authentic, positive change starts with honesty. And honesty starts with you and me.
The call now is to make a decision. Are we brave to choose honesty as our own advocacy?
The CBCP and the organization encourage all voters to pray for the upcoming elections and to select honest candidates who will truly serve and lead the country.
So purely yung heart mo dapat is para naman sa mamamayan, hindi yung pangapansarili mo lang.
Tignan natin yung bibliography ng tao, yung mga nakaraan. Kung okay ba siya, lalong na corruption, maawa kayo sa amin. Like kayo ng like ka ng like, hindi naman kayo nag-isip. Sana gumising na ang dapat gumising.
Stanley Gahete, CNN Philippines.
Ahead on Newsnight, it is day one of the no vaccination, no ride policy. How was it carried out? 2 inmates who bolted the new Bilibid prison's maximum security are killed in a firefight, while the NBI foils an escape attempt of 3 detainees, including a self-confessed drug lord. Details next.
pandemic, serving others is the best. Sa pagtutulungan, patuloy ang ating laban sa buhay. Kaya dapat always healthy. With proper diet, exercise, and MX3 coffee mix to ignite my day. Hi guys! Lagi akong focused, active, at extraordinary. Because the most important things in life deserve nothing less. MX3 coffee mix, my choice.
Welcome back to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. The Labor Department issues its very first advisory for the year, quote, urging private sector employers to pay the leaves of workers undergoing quarantine or isolation because of COVID-19. For a labor group, however, merely urging is not enough. Tristan Nadalo explains to us live. Go ahead, Tristan.
The Labor Department reiterates that private sector employees considered as close contacts, suspect, probable, and confirmed cases of COVID-19 need to complete the prescribed isolation and quarantine period. In the labor advisory, the department urges employers to adopt and implement a paid isolation and quarantine leave program. This means that workers who will be infected or exposed to the virus will still be paid on top of their existing leave benefits. DOLE adds this is also different from the benefits provided by the Social Security System and the Employees Compensation Commission. But the key word here is urge, which is unacceptable to the Labor Group Trade Union Congress of the Philippines. In a statement, the group says DOLE is walking away from its responsibility in ensuring that infected and exposed workers are properly compensated by merely urging and not mandating employers to pay the isolation and quarantine period. Last week, the Labor Department says that it will be difficult to make the isolation and quarantine leave benefits mandatory because there is no legal basis for the department to require it. But DOLE is supportive of any proposed legislation to make isolation and quarantine leaves mandatory. Back to you, Pia.
Tristan, how is an employers group reacting to the advisory?
Based on our recent conversation with the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, they don't see any problem adding leave benefits for workers who will need to isolate or quarantine. In fact, some big companies are already doing it. But what they see as a challenge is how this will impact micro and small businesses which don't have the means or financial capability to add more benefits due to the impact of the pandemic. Back to you, Pia.
Tristan Nadalo there reporting. The no vaccination, no ride policy took effect today in a bid to help stem the spread of COVID-19. How did day one go? Chrissy Di Matulak filed this report.
Authorities flagged Ceesay Morales on day one of the no vaccination, no ride policy. They asked her to get off the bus as she is unvaccinated. Morales says she just gave birth and did not have the time to get vaccinated.
Ano na lang, yung diretso na lang po kami sa papuntahan namin na walk-in. Eh, hindi naman namin alam na ganyan na mahuhuli kami. Kasi po ba, kakapanganak ko lang po, bagong panganak ako. Eh, hindi po ako nagpabaksin nung buntis ako kasi natatakot ako baka mapano yung baby.
For local governments like Quezon City, unvaccinated people who can't take public transport may proceed to the Quezon City Memorial Circle, where they can get their first dose. The Transportation Department says authorities only issue warnings on the first day that the policy takes effect. But it adds enforcement will be stricter in the following days. The LTFRB says fines for drivers and operators found violating the rule will range from 5,000 pesos for the first offense, 10,000 pesos and impounding of unit for the second offense, and 15,000 pesos and suspension of franchise for the third offense. The unvaccinated will still be allowed to take public transport as long as they qualify under the exceptions.
The exceptions include those who, by medical reason, cannot be fully vaccinated. All they have to do is present proof that medical certificate and the other details that they cannot be vaccinated, they will be allowed to board. Going to avail of essential goods and services. So even though they're not vaccinated and their reason for traveling using public transportation is to avail of those services, all they have to do is show proof.
The Commission on Human Rights, in the meantime, warns of possible abuses in carrying out the policy.
We cannot say that in the extreme that this policy is a violation of human rights. I guess what we are trying to say here is what we're trying to do is to remind the government in the implementation of this policy and in the policy itself to make sure that they do not result into excesses, especially in the implementation. We are really worried about the implementation kasi I think 30% of the NCR is not yet vaccinated. Medyo if you convert that into absolute numbers, that's a lot. That's a lot of people.
The Transportation Department assures the public it will be considerate but strict with enforcement. It adds the policy will help stem the further spread of COVID-19. Chrissy de Matulak, CNN Philippines.
More people are coming down with COVID-19. The country has logged the highest number of active cases for the 6th straight day. More than 290,000 Filipinos are sick and contagious, with over 37,000 new infections today. The positivity rate stays at above 40%, meaning 2 in 5 people tested are COVID positive. This excludes data from 12 laboratories. The Octa Research Group seeing a decline in cases here in Metro Manila, but it is still uncertain whether the region has already peaked. Research fellow Guido David says the surge may now be creeping into the provinces.
Medyo marami na meron sa Region 2, meron din sa Region 1 sa Pangasinan, tsaka sa La Union, sa Benguet Region, sa Bicol Region, other parts of Central Luzon ay medyo bumibilis pa lang. Sa Western Visayas, Central Visayas, even sa, yung sinabi ko nga kanina, Tacloban, even sa Mindanao, may nakikita na tayong simulang pagtaas ng bilang ng kaso.
Misinformation and religious beliefs are among the reasons for hesitancy, resulting in low vaccine coverage in the Bangsamoro region. Apart from that, health workers face logistical challenges. More from Caroline Bonkin.
About 200 Muslim religious leaders in the Bangsamoro region got vaccinated against COVID on Monday in hopes of convincing their fellow Muslims to follow suit. Despite government efforts, some Bangsamoro residents refuse to take the vaccine because of misinformation and religious beliefs. The health minister says having imams and ulamas get vaccinated could help address their concerns.
Maraming agam-agam yung ating mga Muslim brothers regarding yung pagiging halal ng isang produkto, yung pagiging safe ng isang product, at saka kung naaayon ba yan sa Islam na teaching. Malaking bagay yon na yung ating mga Muslim religious leaders will be on our side upang sila mismo ang magpapatotoo na ito ay katuruan din ng Islam, halal siya na gawain at safe siya at effective.
The Bangsamoro region has the lowest vaccine coverage in the country, with only 25% of its target 4 million population fully vaccinated. The Bangsamoro health minister says at the rate the vaccination is going, it would take until next year to inoculate majority of the population. Aside from hesitancy, there's the matter of logistics in far-flung municipalities. Health workers have to travel far by foot or by boat, weather permitting, to remote villages like this trip to Barangay Katidtuan and Kakara, Sultan Kudarat.
Ang coverage namin ng mga barangays are those barangays na nasa mga along the riverside, na mahirap puntahan, yung nasa mga bundok, at saka yung mga island provinces.
Vaccinators also have a hard time reaching conflict-torn communities and locating the region's bajaus, who are often on the move.
Maya't maya, mayroon tayong armed conflict together with the lawless element. So yun yung minsan mga dahilan na hindi namin masyado napupuntahan, yung especially yung areas na yun na kung saan madalas mayroong mga armed conflict because of security reason. Meron pa kami mga group of people dito, yung mga Bajau communities which are very highly mobile. Yun, makita mo sila ngayong araw, the next day hindi mo na sila makikita.
Though slow, the health minister says vaccination has picked up with the help of incentives.
Strict na rin ang mga borders natin. Nagtatanong sila ng mga vaccination cards. For example, dito sa Cotabato City, bago ka makapasok ng syudad, tatanungin ka kung meron kang vaccination card. Those are the things I think na medyo magpapaganda ng ating vaccination coverage.
Lanao del Sur, which has the lowest vaccine coverage in the region, is already seeing a spike in cases. Aside from speeding up the vaccination, the health ministry has been preparing health facilities in case Omicron reaches their border. Caroline Bonkin, CNN Philippines.
In other news, 2 prisoners who escaped the maximum security compound of the new Bilibid prison in Muntinlupa have been killed in a firefight. That's according to the city's Public Information Office. Hot pursuit operations underway for the third prisoner. The three prisoners were convicted of a number of crimes, including murder, attempted murder, robbery with homicide, frustrated homicide, and illegal drugs. In the meantime, three detainees at the National Bureau of Investigation, including self-confessed drug lord Kerwin Espinosa, also tried but failed to escape. The NBI said it immediately acted on information about the escape attempt. Justice Secretary Bernardo Guevara says he instructed the Bureau to intensify its intelligence work. In global headlines, the country condemns the 4-year jail term handed to Myanmar's ousted civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi by a military court last week. In a statement, Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin says the military is using the judicial system to silence political opponents and crush democracy. Locsin urged leaders to release all political prisoners and fully respect human rights and the rule of law. The junta toppled democratically elected leaders in a coup in February last year. The United States and Japan lift tsunami advisories following the eruption of an underwater volcano in the South Pacific on Saturday. Tsunamis hit the U.S. state of Hawaii, Japan, and Tonga's largest island, sending waves flooding into the capital. As of Sunday, New Zealand, which is near Tonga, says there were no reports of injuries or deaths there, but telecommunications were affected. New Zealand has sent people to the island to assess damage and provide aid. India reports over 250,000 new COVID-19 cases for the 5th straight day amid the spread of the highly infectious Omicron variant. These numbers have not been seen since the devastating wave caused by Delta last year. India's Election Commission extended a ban on physical political rallies and gatherings for state polls until Saturday. As of Monday, the country's total infections now stand at more than 37,300,000. Still to come on Newsnight, find out which movie took the top spot at the U.S. box office, breaking the new Spider-Man film's month-long reign, and take a look at this doctor and nurse's life-saving efforts, all while having COVID-19 themselves. Details after the break.
Amid the darkness, look on the bright side. It has never been this good for Philippine golf. The country was able to send its best golfers to the last two Olympics and clinched a major championship. First, Miguel Tabuena competed in Rio 2016, followed by Bianca Pagdanganan and Filipino-Japanese golf sensation Yuka Saso in Tokyo 2020. Months before Tokyo, Yuka won the prestigious U.S. Women's Open. With Philippine golfers breaking through on a global stage, the country's golfing community thrived and became vibrant.
It's always an honor to play for the flag. There's always a different feel of playing for something bigger than yourself.
It's really great to see how much golf has taken off, especially last year. It was a tough year for everyone, but I think golf is one of the sports where you could implement safety protocols.
Since 2005, International Container Terminal Services Incorporated, or ICTSI, has been supporting the training of Filipino golfers, including the staging of pro circuits by Pilipinas Golf.
ICTSI and PGT, LPGT are doing a great job providing the professional golfers to have a tour in Philippines.
Me, Yuka, and Bianca would 100% agree that we wouldn't be where we are now without ICTSI.
Over the years, golf greats like Jennifer Rosales and Frankie Mendoza and current superstars like Yuka, Bianca, and Miguel have gotten support from ICTSI and Pilipinas Golf, helping them achieve their goals, including the promotion of Philippine golf worldwide. With ICTSI's support, golf is the silver lining in Philippine sports. I'm Sam Sidwani, CNN Philippines.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines. After about a month of ruling the U.S. box office, Spider-Man No Way Home has been dethroned by the new Scream. The fifth film in the slasher franchise earned an estimated $30.6 million upon opening. This is nearly double the earnings of the last installment. Scream 4 debuted with $18 million in 2011. Scream comes out in local theaters February 2nd. American TV icon Betty White would have been 100 years old today, and fans in the U.S. can mark the occasion at the movies. We get the details from CNN's David Daniel in the Hollywood Minute.
Hello, I'm Betty White.
Betty White, A Celebration, was more than a decade in the making and includes the final on-camera interview with the much-loved entertainer just days before her death on New Year's Eve. It's set to play in more than 1,500 U.S. theaters tonight only, what would have been White's 100th birthday. Check fathomevents.com for locations. Celine Dion has canceled the final 16 shows of her Courage World Tour. The singer is dealing with severe and persistent muscle spasms, according to a post on her Instagram account. The same issue prompted Dion to postpone her Las Vegas residency last October. Nearly 6 years of legal wrangling has finally resulted in an agreement on the value of Prince's estate. According to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, it's $156.4 million, nearly twice the appraisal of the estate's administrator. If the administrator, the IRS, and Prince's heirs agree, the process of distributing Prince's wealth could begin next month. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
And back here at home, making the rounds on social media, these health workers going above and beyond to help our kababayans in this pandemic. Despite having the virus themselves and exhibiting mild symptoms, Dr. Caroline Costello Mandin and nurse Ronnie Galanta volunteered to operate on a COVID-positive patient. With 8 of their operating room staff also catching the coronavirus, the two did the procedure to protect others in the OR. And now, before we go, a few reminders for everyone so we can slow down the spread of the virus. Wear your masks, ideally the 3-ply surgical kind, for protection from the Omicron variant. And if you feel symptoms, isolate immediately and get yourself tested. Continue following health protocols so we can keep one another safe from COVID-19. Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Junior ako for the show.
This
But there is a final list of national candidates. The Commission on Elections has trimmed the number of presidential aspirants from 15 to 10, and this could still change. Former Senator Bongbong Marcos is dealing with a number of cases seeking to disqualify him from the race as he makes his case for no show at a COMELEC hearing because he was sick while granting 2 radio interviews the previous day. In all these exchanges, the question remains, will a popular candidate be eliminated from the presidential race or just let the people decide his fate? And amid reports of alleged hacking of its servers, supposedly compromising voter information, the COMELEC confronts issues of integrity about the automated election system. Good evening, I'm Pia Ontiveros. Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. Our first guest tonight, a legal expert and political analyst, Dean Tony Lavinia. Good evening, Dean Tony. You're here because I wanted to talk to you about this whole issue about the disqualification cases against Bongbong Marcos, the petition to cancel his certificate of candidacy. That's hanging the balance. COMELEC's about to decide in the next few days, as they've said, on or before January 17. So your perspective on this, but more precisely, because it kind of stirred a hornet's nest, no? Yung mga sinasabi po ninyo, tas nagkaroon ng interpretation, no? So let's begin with, what is it that you actually really said? You were just giving scenarios, possible reasons, or scenarios for the COMELEC to decide on the cases against Bongbong.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. That particular point that has been issued as a press release and memes by Marcos supporters was taken from a long interview with Christian Esguerra of ANC, where we explored different options. I did not advocate either the disqualification or the dismissal of the petitions, or the cancellation or disqualification of Bongbong Marcos, or its dismissal. I was just pointing to the process. Starts with the COMELEC, with the two divisions of the COMELECs where the petitions have been lodged. That will then be, of course, appealed. Whatever decision will probably be appealed to the COMELEC and bank, after which it will go to the Supreme Court. And these are very important cases that will go to the Supreme Court, regardless of how the COMELEC rules. No? And in the context of the discussion, I said it could go either way. To be honest, there's a strong argument for cancellation and disqualification, but there's also an argument for saving the candidacy of Bongbong Marcos. And I do not pretend to be a COMELEC commissioner, certainly Chair Abbas or Commissioner Guanzon or the other commissioners chairing the second division. I do not presume to be them. I respect them. I respect their independence. I will support their decision. And the same with Supreme Court as well. But what
so Dean, Dean, what you were saying, really, what you were trying to explain was context and analysis, because that is what you do. Giving context, giving analysis, giving us the possible scenarios, like you said, no arguments for and against, just throwing out Bongbong Marcos's candidacy, right?
Yes, and then elaborating the scenarios. That's important because I think national interest is at stake in the decisions that COMELEC and the Supreme Court will make here. And the one that got the attention, delayed, by the way, because this was December 31 when I did that interview, so a week delay. The one that got the attention was when I said one possible situation, depending on the timing, is that the process might actually end up where the court, it should be the court, because the COMELEC has all the time to decide this. They can decide this in January, and that's what it seems to happen, or February. But if it goes to the election day or post-election day, when there is already a winner, or one who got the most number of votes, and if it's going to be, if Bongbong Marcos loses, the disqualification case doesn't even have to be decided. It will be moot and academic, right? But if he wins, then there will be a challenge, an issue, and the court will have to decide whether they'll make that decision. And that's what I was saying, that the court, that matter can decide not to. I wasn't saying that I'm the court and this is what the court should do. I was saying that it can happen like that. And my point is, near to election day, these decisions should not be made because it can create serious havoc in our democracy. The decision, that's what I clarified in my column today in the Manila Standard, the decision all the way down to the Supreme Court should be made by March, at least before Holy Week. So in the last month, you actually know who are the qualified candidates, and the voters will vote on that basis of who is a qualified candidate. I was telling Chair Abbas that in the case of Grace Poe, we came dangerously close to the election. The final decision was made on the last week of April, 2 weeks before the election. I think that is actually a disservice when it happens that way. I mean, of course, we leave it to the Supreme Court on how it will do that. We leave it to the COMELEC, but I was also pointing out that already the COMELEC decision has been delayed compared to the Grace Poe case. That was decided early December, and now we're in first week of January. Hopefully, by the end of January, the COMELEC would have decided all the way down to the end bank, or early February. Then it goes to the Supreme Court. Then it becomes very dangerously close to the election day.
Dean Tony, talk to us about this, yung isa sa mga sinasabi po ninyo, because at the moment, in pre-campaign, and we have to emphasize that, pre-campaign surveys, Bongbong Marcos is leading by miles. No, he is a very, very clear front runner, and that may present a problem. Correct, in terms, if COMELEC, for example, or the Supreme Court eventually, decides, okay, let's throw his candidacy out. No, tapos front runner siya. No, how does that, how's it gonna impact on everything?
Yeah, well, that's why they need to decide this as early as possible because, for example, if it's very close to the election, on the eve of the election, when and you have to understand, there's the COMELEC decision, there's the division decision, and then there's the COMELEC and bank decision because it will be appealed there, and then there's the Supreme Court petitions that are filed. There has to be a TRO if Marcos is disqualified. Although I think the ballots are already being printed, so maybe that's not even an issue because he will be in the ballot anyway until the final thing is resolved. I don't know if the Supreme Court will order oral arguments. Grace Poe's oral arguments lasted for 6 weeks. I don't know if this one will last for 6 weeks, but certainly for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it could last, right? So it comes dangerously close to the election. And my point simply is that at that point, it becomes challenging. And you're right. If this is a candidate that has no chance of winning, the COMELEC will not even spend a lot of time on it because it's given their priorities. And we've seen that in the past.
Dean,
no? Or if it is
yes,
not the
Dean
presidency.
Tony, Dean Tony, we just need to take a very quick break. We have to take a commercial break right now. We'll be right back. Politics as usual. Be right back. Stay with us.
Sulitin ang sweldo, mga ka-Lazada! Masulit ang sweldo dito sa Lazada. Sulit sweldo mo sa Lazada. Sulit sweldo sale. May free shipping vouchers dito. Lazada Sulit Sweldo Sales sa bawat swelduhan.
What do you see in your future? Us? We see unlimited possibilities. This is why we are evolving to BPI AIA. To keep up with your ever-changing needs and to help bring you to the future you've always wanted. A future where you can live your life to the fullest. Where the people you love are better protected. Where everything is easier and faster. We're changing the way you live as we combine decades of local expertise, innovation, and leadership with the strength of one of Asia's largest life insurance companies. Count on us to keep evolving as fast as you do, to give you more protection and better services that will help you live healthier, longer, better lives. This is what we see in your future. And that future begins today. This is the new BPI AIA.
All right, welcome back. This is Politics as usual. We're still joined by Dean Tony Lavinia. Dean Tony, we have about 3 minutes to just wrap this up. What else do we have to remember? Because kaya nga I pointed out, survey front runner, pre-campaign survey front runner, and of course we have no idea what's going to happen when the campaign begins. But if you're going to talk about canceling his COC or disqualifying him, what does that do to these people who, although they're hindi naman ito botante, sa survey pa lang? What does that mean?
Well, qualifications are qualifications, no? And so I agree naman with that point that has to be decided as long as it's decided within a time frame that makes sense for democracy. I mean, and I think that's what we should really focus on here in the months to come. No, I mean, the thing is, if it's decided early. If it's a disqualification, Marcos can be substituted by another Marcos. So you can expect Aimee, for example, and I suppose the voters of Bongbong will support Aimee, and in a way that will happen. If it's a cancellation, then he never ran at all, and then the voters will have to find someone else to support. Right now, what they're saying, the last poll of Octa says that it's Isko Moreno that has the second choice of many of those voters, but that's not also set in stone. I mean, but that's really the case. I mean, that's really what's the challenge with disqualifications, because it comes right at the time when the campaigns are beginning, and the campaigns are about these candidates. But if this candidate gets disqualified, but has already convinced a group of voters, it does leave those group of voters hanging, and that's not necessarily good for democracy. I emphasize in my writing here that if, for example, especially a scenario where a person wins an election, doesn't have to be Marcos, but a person wins an election and then is disqualified after the election, that really creates instability. You know, I mean,
right.
Fraud,
it's like disenfranchising
creates,
all these people who voted for him, right?
Perception of fraud creates instability. You know, I gave the example. I actually wrote another longer piece about this. I gave the example of President Arroyo, who I thought would have been a very good president, a great president, well prepared for it. But because he took power under EDSA DOS, which was seen as illegitimate by many of our voters, especially the poor who voted for Estrada, she had a mantle of illegitimacy in her first 4 years or first 3 years. And then when she ran for 2004, that was aggravated by the charges of fraud by the Fernando Po camp. And what we had was another 6 years of highly politicized governance. No? That's bad for the country. When the mandate of the winner is not clear,
it's put under question
because the election was won through a legal means and not through the ballot, that is not good for the country by any means.
All right. Well, Dean Tony Lavinia, I do hope we can have you back here on the show very soon. There's still much to talk about. Hindi pa rin ito tapos. And as a matter of fact, when the COMELEC comes out with its decision, I'd like to have you back on the show. So we'll call you po. Dean Tony Lavinia, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We're now joined by our second guest, COMELEC Chairman Sharif Abbas. Good evening, Chairman Abbas. Since pinag-uusapan na po natin yung mga disqualification cases, petitions to cancel yung COC ni BBM, ni Bongbong Marcos, can we start with that? The announcement was that posible on or before January 17, and that's already next week. COMELEC is going to come out with a decision. Magpapasya na po ba talaga kayo?
Yes, good evening, Ms. Pia. We have to understand that there were 9 petitions filed against Bongbong Marcos. At liban po dyan, marami ding mga petitions sa ibang kandidato from national to local yung hinihear ng dalawang division. So doon sa second division, I think 2 case yung nauna doon. And then itong last week, nag-hear ata yung first division at kinonsolidated yung 3 petition. So mayroon pang natitirang 4 na hindi pa na-hear. From my information sa division, mukhang palalabasin nila within the week or next week yung sa second division, and then yung first, they will try it to decide it maybe next week. So yun yung mga discussions ng dalawang division. Then of course, whether sinong manalo or matalo, aakyat yan definitely sa NBank. So another pa naman yun, memorandum. So siguro abutan talaga ng February hanggang February yung decision ng NBank. So tama po si Dean, medyo compared mo sa Grace po na disqualification case, medyo nahuli po ito. But medyo hindi mo rin ma-compare. It's because sa case ni Bongbong Marcos, 9 po yung petition. Samantalang kay Grace po, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, parang dalawa lang yung disqualification.
So parang, Chairman, so like you said, so 9. So ang mangyayari nito, halimbawa, manalo ang kampo ni Bongbong sa isa. So 1 down, 8 to go, 2 down,
Yes.
7 to go. Gano'n, ano? Paunti-unti, no? But,
Yes.
you know, like Dean Tony was explaining, lalo na halimbawa, na, kunyari, abutin ng, halimbawa, no, manalo, abutin ng eleksyon, ang laking gulo nun, hindi po ba? And kahit na hindi abutin ng eleksyon ng voting day, if even, you know, a month or 2 before that, malaking gulo pa rin yan. And, you know, I don't know, no? Will COMELEC consider that this man is leading in emphasis on pre-campaign surveys at the moment?
Yes, depende sa decision pa din yan, Pia, ano? Kasi as already pointed out, if it is a cancellation, kahit manalo ka, if canceled yung COC mo, baliwala na yon. If it is DQ naman, pwedeng substitution, anyone from the Marcos camp with the same surname, pwedeng mag-substitute. So depende yan, Ms. Pia, sa magiging desisyon. But definitely sa amin, Ms. Pia, pinapabilis na din namin lahat ng mga cases na pending sa amin. Not only the Marcos case, but some other cases na pending sa amin. So, pinapabilis namin. Medyo marami lang cases ngayon. Like for example, yung nuisance case lang namin is umabot, I think, ng mga 200 plus. Yung DQ ng national and local, ganun din, mga 200 cases din yan. So medyo madami-dami. But of course, itong mga high profile, medyo inuuna namin to, Ms. Pia.
Chairman Abbas, naalala ko noong 2016 polls, nagsampang si Bongbong Marcos ng electoral protest against Lenny, claiming na dinaya siya. No? So ito ngayon, meron na naman siyang challenge sa kanyang kandidatura. At the same time, there are many concerns, and this is a question that we will ask you to respond to after the break. Itong mga allegations of hacking of COMELEC information, the system, no? But we'll ask you to take that question, to respond to that question after this break. More from Chairman Sharif Abbas of the COMELEC. When we come back, this is Politics as Usual.
Good day, traders. Anthony Esguerra here from Learn to Trade Philippines. Sino nga ba si Learn to Trade Philippines? We actually specializes on teaching people, all walks of life, how to understand the Forex market, how you can take advantage of this market. So if you want to know how to do it properly, join my online seminar. It's an online Forex seminar. You will be learning, number 1, my favorite strategy. Ano nga ba ang ginagamit kong strategy sa pagpo-forex trading and the best time to use it? Number 2, ano nga ba ang mga characters of a forex trader na kailangan mong iwasan? Basically, being a greedy trader or a fearful trader. Napaka-importanteng kontrolin mo ang emotion mo sa forex trading. And number 3, forex trading should not take you hours in a day. 1 hour per day lang to. It's a 1-hour activity per day. It doesn't mean that you need to quit your job, you need to lose your business and just focus on forex trading. No, just get this forex trading activity on top of the income streams that you currently have. Isang oras na negosyo lamang to sa isang araw. Learn how to do it properly and learn from the best educators. Learn to Trade Philippines. Join my free 3-hour online seminar so you can learn it all from me. So paano? Kita-kita tayo doon. Goodbye!
Mang Tomas Blas, Mang Tomas Blas. Mang Tomas ang sarsa ng bayan, pang ulam at pang pulutan, bida sa bawat handaan, ang daming nababagayan. Mang Tomas Blas, Mang Tomas Blas. Bawat kagat ay macho, ganado, bagay lahat, walang talo. Mas gaganahan ka lalo pag mang tumas ang kasalo. Kala mo pang lechon o liempo lang, all around ang paborito kong simang. Pag iyon na simulan talagang di mabibigyan ng katakawan. Mang Tomas plus longganisa o tilapia, Mang Tomas plus chicharon o lechong baka.
Welcome back. This is Politics as usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Still with us, the chairman of the Commission on Elections, Sharif Abbas. Chairman Abbas, itong allegations of hacking, ano po ba talaga ang nangyari? Na-hack po ba? Are our elections in danger or not?
Yes, Ms. Pia, we received the information, yung report nga from Manila Bulletin yesterday. At immediately nung natanggap ko yung balita, I immediately called the director of the Information and Technology Department namin para i-check yung mga systems namin kung meron nga ba talagang breach. So after an hour, bumalik siya sa akin at sinabi niyang, Sir, medyo negative, mukhang fake news yung balita. It's because wala pa naman po tayong final na data para i-configure. Kasi January 15 pa kami mag-configure ng mga data namin na ipapasok sa system ng VCM. So sa ngayon, Ms. Pia, sure ako na walang hacking na nangyari. Pangalawa, if ang sinasabi naman nila is hacking sa aming website, wala namang mga information na nandoon. Babalikan ko, Pia, no? Ang configuration namin is sa January 15 pa. Kung sinabi nilang hinak nila nung Sabado, that was January 8. So wala pang any information na na-upload sa aming system. Kasi doon ka palang magkakaroon ng PIN numbers at passwords kapag nalagay na sa system ng VCM. But sabi ko nga, it is quite impossible, sabi ng director ng Information Technology Department namin, na ma-hack yung isang system or isang data na hindi pa naman existence.
So Chairman Abbas, kanina ang sabi po ninyo, ang sabi ng director ng Info and Tech Department nyo is medyo negative. Pasensya na po kayo pero sa journalist kasi I'd rather hear negative talaga or medyo negative. Kasi parang medyo negative is like medyo totoo. So
yes,
negative talaga,
medyo,
Chairman.
Ang sinasabi kong medyo, it's because initial na checking pa lang namin yun, Ms. Pia. Ido-double check pa din namin and then we will issue a final report within the week. So kaya nga medyo ang sinabi ko, it's because initial na assessment pa lang yon ng aming information.
Well, initial assessment, but you when you're the head of an agency and this guy, for example, the Info and Tech Department head, he should know whether na-hack ba talaga o hindi na, he can tell you, Chairman, huwag kayong mag-alala, walang nangyari talagang, wala pa tayo na input, wala talaga na fake news lang talaga ang dyaryo na yan. Ganon? And how is that possible?
Yes, definite naman
where
yung
would
sagot
they get that?
Yes, Ms. Pia, definite naman yung sagot niya sa akin. Pero sabi nga niya, i-double check pa din natin, sir, para sigurado tayo. But doon sa kanyang initial assessment na definite naman yung answer niya na wala nga kasi nga imposible na ma-hack yung information na hindi pa naman existing. So sabi naman niya, as to the precinct finder, for example, yung sinasabi nilang mga data about the voter information, wala pa naman kaming precinct finder dahil inaayos pa na yun ng DICT. So that is why, Ms. Pia, we are quite definite or certain na walang hacking na nangyayari. So yun na nga, yun ang yung challenge namin doon sa report. Sana makipagtulungan sila sa amin. Titingnan natin kung ano yung sinasabi nilang na-hack para at least kahit papano, ma-double check natin. Kasi napakadaling... Yes. Alam mo, Ms. Pia, nalulungkot lang din kami. It's because napakadaling mag-accuse. Pero ang impact nung kasi, Ms. Pia, napakalaki. Kaya ngayon yung pakiusap namin sa mga media partners natin, na bago sila sumulat or magpahayag ng mga ganyang klaseng information, i-validate muna nila sa amin. Kasi hindi nila na naiisip, Miss Pia, yung lawak or yung impact ng ganong klaseng report na
we understand.
Wala naman.
We understand the implication of this because when you say in a report that na-hack yung COMELEC, yung system ng COMELEC, agad-agad it will put into question the credibility of the coming elections, no? And we're talking about credibility, we're talking about integrity, the people's faith in the elections, right, Chairman?
Kaya nga Miss Pia, hindi ko alam talaga anong purpose ng mga ganyang klaseng report, no? Hindi ko alam kung panggugulo lang, but definitely that is a fake news. So if it is a fake news, talagang may malis yung pagpapalabas ng ganong klaseng report. But yun na nga, sana hindi basta-basta magpapalabas yung sino mang mga kaibigan natin sa media kung hindi verified o hindi man lang kami natanong.
Okay, well, malice, I don't know about that. But Chairman also, on the other hand, syempre, naiintindihan nyo rin naman sa COMELEC yung the level of concern and worry that's gonna happen because of this. And syempre, para bang, you can imagine ang taong bayan saying, siguraduhin nyo ha, na wala tayong problema dahil naku po, ang laking gulo nito. Correct, Chairman?
Yes, I agree, Ms. Pia. No? But, kami naman natuto na kami because na-hack din kami noong 2016. Lahat ng mga protocols ngayon, Ms. Pia, dinoble namin yung aming pag-iingat, whether it would be cyber or cyber security or physical security ng aming mga system at infrastructure, talagang dinoble ingat namin yan. As a matter of fact, constant yung aming coordination with the Data Privacy Commission at pinaiksi namin, Ms. Pia, yung mga pwede lang mag-access. Halimbawa, yung voter information before nasa pwedeng i-access yan ng election officer namin from munisipyo or city. But ngayon, inakyat namin sa province. So kung may 82 province lang tayo in the Philippines, so 82 katao lang ang pwedeng mag-access noon plus the mail. Siguro hindi abutin ng mga 150 ang pwedeng mag-access doon sa voter information. So ganun namin sinala yung aming sistema, Ms. Pia.
Chairman Abbas, we only have a minute to go and I wanted to ask you this one final question. No? So parang there are so many clouds hanging over our election. So you have itong mga DQ cases laban kay BBM, itong these allegation about hacking which you say, as far as you know, initial, huwag kayo mag-alala, no? walang na-hack. Pero at the same time, halimbawa kayo po, and this is something we've already brought up before. February 2, magre-retire na po kayo. At dalawa pang commissioners ang magre-retire din. Si Rowena Guanzon, Commissioner Guanzon, and Commissioner Antonio Co. So that means tatlong bagong mukha. And I know I asked you this before. I think that was about 2 months ago. But now that we're inching even closer to the elections, the more important it becomes, no? Can you reassure us that we will have no problems in the elections because half of the commission bago ang mukha by February?
Wala naman, Ms. Pia, no? Because yung tao or yung members ng NBank pwedeng magpalit, but yung proseso namin, Ms. Pia, nandyan na yan. Okay, so walang dapat ipangamba yung ating publiko. Whether in the preparation or even the cases, I'm sure na magagampanan ng bagong tatlo miyembro ng NBank yung kanilang tungkulin. So, hindi problema yan, Ms. Pia, because even ako, na-experience ko nung 2019 or 2016, nagpalit din kami bagong pasok ako, but madali lang naman ako naka-adjust. And then nung 2019 ata, 4 na lang kaming natira. So naitawid din namin yung 2019 election na kahit 4 lang kami. So hindi problema yun, Ms. Pia, for as long as mayroong natirang 4 na majority.
Naitawid. Naitawid, naku Diyos ko. Anyway, Chairman Sharif Abbas ng Commission on Elections, I hope to have you back on the show. Ang dami pa rin pag-uusapan, like I told Dean Tony kanina. Salamat po, sir. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Salamat din, Ms. Pia. Thank you so much.
We've been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or at a family reunion or in Viber groups and risk digital warfare. But we can talk about it here on the show, your weekly political appointment fix. Politics as usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. See you back here next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m.